I'm Lynn Vieira, and I'm here with Ellen Ogden, kitchen garden designer. And today we're going to talk about plants versus seeds, what you should use and why, and how weather conditions play a role.
Right.
So big question. I'm always wondering, should I do the seeds? Should I do the plants?
Plants are, of course, instant satisfaction. Going to a nursery and buying plants is like, wow, I can just have this garden and it's going to grow. And, but there are some things that need to be planted early in the season, like tomatoes and eggplants and peppers. Take about 4 to 6 weeks before you can put them out. And unless you have a really sunny window and very attentive to their watering needs, it's probably better to buy plants of those. Same with herbs. Herbs take a really long time to germinate. I see you have some rosemary and some thyme and some basil. Those take a really long time to germinate, and so buying plants again is really satisfying. But for something like lettuce or nasturtiums or sunflowers or this lancenato kale, those grow pretty quickly. And so starting seeds either directly in your garden or in a seed tray like this really makes sense, because you're going to be saving money. The plants will actually prefer to be growing in the same spot rather than being transplanted, and so it's a little bit of both.
And how quickly do greens grow, typically?
It's a good question. Lettuce, like mesclun and some of the loose leaf lettuces, you could have a salad 30 days after you put the seeds in the ground. It's very quick. Arugula is fantastic. You could be planting arugula all summer long and you'll be having a constant supply. Something like peas, those take about 60 days. So those should have been planted maybe in April for a 4th of July crop. So it really varies.
Right. I mean, it's nice to have sort of that instant gratification if you're gardening for the first time. You want to see it and you want to taste it and cut it from your yard and bring it in. But then there are other things you still want. You still want those tomatoes.
I know.
But you got to wait till August. But that's okay. You know, if you have something else to keep you busy and you have some herbs to clip, it's kind of a nice balance.
But it's really nice to have a balance in the garden, because something like these calendulas, they look beautiful now, but if you put those in the ground and then also put some seeds with those plants, you're going to have a second crop coming up a little bit later in the season. So you'll have a much longer season when you combine both.
Yeah, so you recommend when you plant them, you have the plants themselves, but then some actual nasturtium seeds
planted right near them, yes, or a calendula, yes. And something like the tomatoes, like I think this is a beautiful specimen of a tomato plant. You don't want to get something that's going to be very tall and leggy. This is a nice stocky plant. Oh, it smells so good too.
I know, it already smells like tomatoes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's an instinct to get the biggest plant we can. If it's a good stocky, strong plant, that makes sense. But if it's a big, tall, spindly thing, it's probably better to get something smaller. But again, the sooner you get it in, then the faster you're going to have some fruit.
Okay. And I know you have thoughts on sort of how to add color, because, gardens are very green.
Yeah.
So, what are some tips on, making sure you always have like splashes of color in your kitchen garden?
Oh, well, edible flowers work wonders. Something like nasturtiums. I see you have some nasturtium packets here. And again, putting a few plants in, but these grow very quickly. So they're nice to put around the borders. Some low-growing edible plants. I know the calendula is an edible flower, as is the little viola there. So those add some great color.
So Ellen, how do you decide where in your yard to plant these?
Well, where you want to put your garden isn't necessarily the best place for your garden, sadly.
Good point.
I will say that it's probably better to put the garden closer to the house than way far away. I think when it's closer, you're going to see it more, you're going to be more likely to weed it, you're going to spend more time there. And of course, if you're cooking with fresh herbs and you've got your onions simmering, you're going to want to dash out for something really fast.
Right. What about weather-wise? I mean, is pretty much all of this need full sun?
Yes, vegetable gardens really do need full sun. And so it's a good idea to watch your garden, the area where you want to put the garden, to know how the sun moves through during the day.
So on a Saturday or a Sunday, go out at 10, go out at 12, go out at 2, and see what happens.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And the summer sun is a little different than the winter sun. So it may take a little while of really exploring, but gardens are an investment, so it's a good idea to get it right from the start.
And some of the things you could potentially do in containers and move them if necessary?
Absolutely. There's some wonderful containers and window boxes, and of course people are roof gardening now too, so there's lots of options.
All right. I think we're ready to plant.
Great, let's go.